How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on the final Star Wars movie in the nine-part movie, mm, I, I guess anthology. I don't even know what you would call it, but the ninth movie in the sequel trilogy, The Rise of the Skywalker. And I want to give my opinion on it right now. This movie's a five. It's definitely the worst, in my opinion, in the sequel trilogy. But at the same time, I'm a I'm gonna just go through it. All right. But this movie, I definitely think is the worst one out of the sequel trilogy. But let me go into it. Let me go into why I think this is no, well, this is my opinion. But the main reason is the same way I felt about The Empire Strikes Back, where I was just bored at a certain point. Like from the beginning to halfway around there, I was bored. I just wasn't interested in what was going on. You know, because you have Rey dealing with the Palpatine coming back. You have Finn and Poe doing their business, and they're just basically following Rey. And you have all that stuff going on. And up until you have Rey and Kylo Ren fight on that planet X something, I forgot the name of it. I wasn't interested, honestly. I wasn't that interested. Like Finn, Poe, and their stuff, I didn't really care about once Rey left, and even with Rey, I didn't really care about what was going on with her. I was just bored up until we got to Kylo Ren getting that vision from Han Solo, and him basically disregarding, or not disregarding, but discarding the dark side and going back to the light, or at the very least trying to. For a good part of the movie, I just wasn't that interested, and it sucks because I wanted to get invested, but it didn't start happening until the second part of the movie, and that's when you have Rey going back to the planet that Luke was on, her getting that pep talk from him, and then her going back to Palpatine and all that, and that once that happens, like once that pep talk with Luke happens, it was cool because it honestly felt like Luke was being a master at that point. And even though most of his actions in the movie, in the trilogy, weren't like Luke, at very least that end part was, or in my opinion, it was. So that was cool to see. But one thing I didn't like was Palpatine coming back because A, the way it happened was unceremonious, and B, if it was foreshadowed or not, I don't know. But I couldn't see anything or remember anything like, yo, that could be Palpatine, or something like that. Because the way that they introduce it is literally in the title card where they're doing the Star Wars, the recap and all that. And literally the first word that they use is the dead can talk. Palpatine is back. Like what? But why? Why is he back? What happened? How is he back? Why? Like the way I assume is just he used the Sith powers and all that to come back, but it's like, okay, but why didn't they do that in the movie instead of just doing it in the title card? Like that seems weird. It was super strange to me. I didn't like it much. But then you also have the fact that they didn't hint at it before. So I don't know if they just decided to add Palpatine in now or not, but he just never he was never there. And granted, Rey had some darkness in her, like Luke was talking about it in the second movie, but they never talked about her being a Palpatine before or something like that. Like if anything, you would think that what's his dude's name? Kylo Ren will be a Palpatine off of the first movie, but we already know that he's Leia and Han's son, so that can't be possible. So her being a Palpatine is like her her being from that family isn't the problem. It's the fact that to me it was never foreshadowed, and that Palpatine just got reined in for no reason. Like to me, he seemed like spoilers by the way, spoilers. Skip like 20 seconds ahead. But to me, he seems like Junko Anishima from Danganronpa. She just keeps coming back. But you know, spoilers over. You can come back now. But you have all that going on, and it's just like, all right, I guess Palpatine's here now that Snoke is dead, and Snoke himself was a kind of a filler villain. I didn't care much about him. I thought he was pretty whack. So, if anything, I was just more interested in Kylo Ren himself, whether he was going to become a villain, whether he was going to become a Jedi, or what he was going to do afterwards. Because after the end of the second movie, you know, I was interested. what's gonna happen to you, big dog? What's gonna happen to you?" And he went back to the light side. Do I have a problem with that? No, I think that's fine. Either way that he went, Kylo Ren was meant to be a main threat, a main force. So him having that character development is like, what else could he have? So I didn't mind it at all. Could it have been better? Sure, but I I don't I'm not clamoring for Kylo Ren to come back. If he did, cool. If not, whatever. But the other thing I want to complain about is just the characters in this movie, how they kind of basically got sidelined. Poe, Finn, they got turned into side characters. R2D2 has always been a side character, same with C3PO. But Chewbacca, he got the worst of it. Chewbacca basically got turned into an off-screen menace. He barely got any screen time, and if he did, he was not the focus of it. Chewbacca got disrespected on a whole nother level. And why you could say like, oh, Han Solo when he was alive and he was with Chewbacca like in the original trilogy, Chewbacca didn't have a main role either. But Chewbacca was way more present because of that, because he was always with Han Solo. They were a dynamic duo. It wasn't just Han Solo and Chewbacca. It's both of them, Han Solo and Chewbacca. Like it it felt like they were a duo. But here, it just felt like Chewbacca was barely a character, which sucks. It really sucks because he was so cool. He's the last surviving member from that original trilogy. Shoot, if I remember correctly, yeah, like he was the last person alive from that trilogy, which hurts because that man went through some trauma. Like Leia is dead, Han is dead. What's his name? Luke is dead. Lando is alive, but we didn't find out about Lando until this movie, and we thought, oh, Chewbacca could have died, but no, he didn't. So it's like it's just Lando and Chewbacca. Maybe they're still alive after the end of this movie, just chilling, doing whatever. That's cool, but that man went through some trauma, like actually went through some trauma. That Chewbacca deserves more, honestly. He deserves more. Besides that, everything else was just I wasn't interested, wasn't that engaged. But there is some good in it. There is some good. There's less good than the the second movie, and The Force Awakens was just the better movie overall compared to the other two. But let me go into it. So the good, the good, the second half of the movie was good when the they start invading the planet that the the Sith secrets are on. That that scene was really cool, honestly. I mess with that because you have Poe being the leader while Finn as well is being a general. It's like they're doing their part, and then you just have them going about doing all this crazy fighting. It reminds me of the first movie where they had the sun going on, but instead of the sun, it was this planet, and it was a whole star fleet. And granted, now I look at it, him or Palpatine having all those star destroyers and all of them, it's kind of like okay. I mean, I guess that's kind of like it's it 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 makes sense in some part, but not really. Because if he had that whole fleet, how did people not find out about him? I don't know. Maybe because the planet isn't on the star chart, so it's like okay, they didn't know that he was there. Same way that Count Dooku, they didn't know that he was uh commissioning those clones. We're just like, oh okay. But I don't know. I'll let it slide since I can just look at it as Count Dooku, the same situation like that. But you have them going on, then you have Rey trying to fight Palpatine, which is cool. It wasn't as good as like the action in Revenge of the Sith, but it was cool. It was cool. You have Kylo Ren showing up. That was pretty sick when he was just fighting his goons, and he came up and he started fighting with alongside Rey. I wish that they played more with the idea of him and her being able to trade objects, since they're two of the same kind in the Force thing. It would have been cool if they were able to use that more often, because when he used the lightsaber that Rey was about to use, the same way that like she was about to kill Palpatine the same way that Ben Solo killed Snoke, and the way that they used it is super clever. It was so cool because she threw her saber behind her back, and then he caught it by teleporting it towards him, and then threw it back towards her with the same teleporting thing that they have in the Force. It's like that's so cool. That's such a cool idea. I just wish that they used it more. It feels like it was underutilized considering how often they fought. It was pretty cool. But then Kylo Ren dies. It's like, oh, dang, that sucks. Like if anything, I would have preferred that like Kylo Ren lives, and even if Rey dies or lives or not or whatever, like he carries on the Jedi and he starts teaching other people, basically learning from his mistakes, turning over to the light side and just becoming the good that the world needs, like how Rey was basically, or well Luke I guess, like that. To me that would have been cool. But you know either way, like that's not a negative, but it's something I wish could have happened. I thought would have been cool. But that whole side of the movie, and then one thing I will say, actually, is when the whole fleet, like in the second movie, right? They have Leia call all the people and be like, "Please, we need your assistance," but they don't come. And in this movie, it was about to be the same thing, but then Lando calls them and everybody comes, and it's like, "Yo, shoot, bro, that is fire." That gave me chills, man. Like, because you got to remember that I'm watching these from original, prequel, then sequel. So seeing the original and how they had nothing, then seeing the prequel and how they had everything, and then seeing the sequel and seeing how they have something, it's like, it's it's so cool because of the fact that they really had nothing. The Rebel Alliance was on the brink of extinction, and so the fact that there's still people there who fight, they're just normal citizens who would come and fight, is so sick. I really like that scene where they just showed up and then they just start fighting. It actually had me tearing up. It was so cool. And so they start doing that, and then once everything's all said and done, you have the end of the movie where Ray and all of them are there. They meet up and they hug, and it's like, oh, that was so cool. And it has the end of the movie, and it started hitting me. It started hitting me because I really like some of these characters. Like I liked Ray, I liked Finn, I liked Poe, BB-8, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca. You know, seeing Lando come back, Han Solo, Leia, Luke, even though his character decisions weren't the best. Like, I basically saw these characters grow and transform. I didn't grow up with them, but I saw them change and I saw them grow as people. And it was so cool. It started hitting me. And then B, this is the last Star Wars movie that's in the the trilogy. So I'm not gonna see anything in this mainline stuff, unless if I watch like Rogue One or anything like that, or Solo or something like that. But this is it. This is legit it. And it started hitting me. It was like the Dragon Ball GT ending where you have Goku on Shenron. It's like, dang, bro. Even though this series may not have been that great, like GT wise, it still hits because you grew up with Dragon Ball. And for Star Wars, even though I didn't grow up with Star Wars, I vicariously grew through it. Like I had an Anakin doll when I was younger, and I have a Star Wars shirt that I wore, and I didn't even know about or anything about Star Wars. Like Star Wars is such an overbearing presence because of how popular it is, and it started hitting me like, shoot, man, this is over. It's it. I watched all nine of these movies. I'm done, and it hit me, yo. It wholeheartedly hit me. So I started getting emotional for sure. You know, it's like, man, that was great. Even though these movies weren't the best ones, if anything, they were some of the worst ones. It was good. I still enjoyed it because a bad Star Wars movie is still infinitely better than some of the worst movies I've seen. So it's like, shoot, man, that was great. Props, props to all the people in the movies. It sucks that I heard some of the things like, Finn's actor wasn't took more of a sideline because of China or whatever. Or at least that's one of my friends told me. It's like, ah, dang. Some of the things that I was hearing about these movies and what they had to do is like, they could have been better. They wholeheartedly could have been better, but due to outside sources and different directors and all that, so on and so forth, it's like, man, that sucks. But what can you do, I guess? It's all in the history books. If they ever like redo this trilogy, hopefully it's in good hands. Because man, that's rough. That's really rough. But overall, this movie was a five. It was okay. It wasn't anything great, but when it hit, it definitely hit. I have to say again, it was the worst one out of this trilogy. But I'm not mad that I watched this trilogy. I'm glad I watched it because now I can have my opinion on this movie and I can make the tier list, which you know, that's coming soon. But you know, overall, I'm glad I embarked on this journey. And next, who knows what's gonna happen next? Maybe I'll go back to Bleach. Maybe I start something new. maybe I just take a break from watching things. But one thing's for certain is that I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue doing something. So I hope you all are here for it. The the Star Wars series isn't done yet. Nowhere near done. There's so much to do. There's Clone Wars if I ever watch that. Shoot, man, because that thing is long. Like Clone Wars is long, long. There's Rebels as well if I ever want to watch that. Obi-Wan Kenobi. You have Mandalorian. You have the Book of Fett. I think that's what it's called. So on and so forth. Like there's so much. There's so much. So Star Wars is nowhere near done. And whenever I watch it, I watch it. But thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll check you out. And until then, this has been Infamous Isaac, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.